Hey guys, back. Brian Dunnigan in the Rock Life Studios, episode 68, out the top November 5th, 2024. Joined once again by the podium finisher from this last weekend at the Battle of the Bouncers, Mr. Dan Carter.
How's it going?
Man, it's been a good week.
Yeah.
I mean, our spirits are up.
Everybody's
Everybody's been in a good mood. We're jiving. I'm ready to get back to. I wish we had a race this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Sort of, but not really. Just like to keep that mo going. Before we get into the show, last week we had talked about trying to get to 10,000 subs on YouTube before the end of the year. Guys, you guys have really knocked it out of the park. New goal is 10,000 before the end of the week. I think we can get there. We were at 9,100 last week. We're at like 96, 9,700 now.
8?
Yeah. So 10,000 by Friday or Saturday. We can do that. We can do it. We can do
Pump it.
Pump it. Pump it. Share. Got some cool stuff for the members on the membership side. Guys, remember, all of our videos are going up there first. They'll be on there for a week or so. Then they'll go to everybody else. So go check those out. If you want to be a member, we'd really appreciate that. And to celebrate the podium finish from this weekend that we'll talk about here in a little bit, everybody who signs up for the membership is getting 50% off of all Rock Life and Dan Carter Racing merch at rocklifeoffroad.com through the end of next week. So that's where you're going to find that code. Go get that. That's both tiers of memberships. So if you buy one hoodie, it pays for itself. Go get it. Go get it. All right. Let's get into our race, the Battle of the Bouncers from Windrock. Let's dive right in. The big deal is, hey, we got some hardware brought home this weekend.
That's right.
So tell us about that. Let's talk about that. What does that, and not that we've had a bad year. We've had a new year, a new learning year with the new buggy. Been right there, been real fast. And let's just be honest, we weren't screaming fast this weekend. We were just able to survive in advance, I guess. But man, just it's got to feel good to get up on the boxes right at the end of the year. It's got to leave a good taste in your mouth going into next season.
Right. It we did have a few hiccups. Some of it was totally my fault, and then some of it was just kind of unexpected. But overall, the car did really great. I'm still learning the ins and outs of it, so it's going to be interesting next year with a little bit of more seat time with the car to see how we'll stack up when we run Cup with that car.
Well, and now that it's getting, man, for a while, for a while, we were very content, I guess you could say, to show up, have decent runs, put the buggy in the trailer unharmed.
Right.
That was a good weekend.
For sure.
But as the car this year, it seems like, has gotten more competitive, it has lit a more competitive fire. Like,
right.
Two good finishes and putting it on the trailer is just not, it's not all we're after now.
Right. Especially being at the end of the year, you can risk it a little bit more. And, there was a couple of people come up to me and was like, man, this course is tough on everybody. And they're like, all you pretty much have to do is finish at this point. And to me, as that was going through my head was, yeah, I'd like to finish, but I kind of, I didn't have that great of a run on hill one in my opinion. I mean, it seemed fast and it looked good, but there were some hiccups, like over the rock section. As soon as I come over the rock section, had it in high gear, car come out of gear. It jumped out of high gear. So took a few seconds to get that back sorted out, get it in gear, get it going. So when I was told, hey, just finish, that wasn't it for me. I was like, I'm still going to go as fast as I can go just to get the seat time. And two, we've said it before, people come to these events. I mean, they come to see everybody, but you don't want to see a car sandbagging just because they're wanting to be top five and all they got to do is finish.
Yeah, they come to see everybody run, and there is no. I've said this 1,000 times. There is no replacement for seat time while the timers are running.
Right.
You can go out here in the field. You can cut you a course. You can do whatever you want to do. If you're out there by yourself, it doesn't matter. You got to have other competition. You got to have the timers going. You got to have people watching. That's how you get better. I mean, seat time is any seat time is good seat time, but realistically, you cannot replicate the pressure of a timer.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's so yeah. Anytime you're out there, you need to be hauling the mail. And we kind of got into that a few years ago in the Bounty Series. We had a good lead. Kind of tried to not lay low, but take it easy, trying to just finish some hills. And that come back to bite us. I always think about the Mad Ram 11 sticker that he had for years that said "always fully committed."
Right.
And when I got to when I got to thinking about that, I go back to that, and I'm like, man, that means more than what it was meant for.
Right.
That little saying was for the bouncers and stuff, but if you're not always fully committed, you will fail trying to be safe.
Right.
But yeah, anyways, man, it was good. It was a good weekend. Good, a lot of good racing. I don't know what happened to the UTV class. Like everybody was breaking.
Well, and the pit party may have had a little bit to do with that. That was the first time we'd seen the pit party be thrown day before a race. So,
Hey, listen, I had a plan going into that pit party, and I forgot it at home. I had a quart jar of some good old Mountain Dew,
Yeah.
And I said when we were getting ready to leave, I said, I'm going to take this down there, and I'm going to find all the UTV drivers. Here, man, come on, get you a little snort of this. I said, Dan, take your ass to bed. The rest of you boys, come here. But lucky for them, I didn't bring it. But yeah, man, the pit party was fun.
Yeah, I was glad to see there's a lot of people come out to that, and it's almost like there was food being brought. It was not catered. It was like it started out as like just a pit party for everybody to come and look at the cars, stuff like that. Then it got to where somebody was going to bring, I think Oback or somebody was going to cook a Boston butt, and they brought it. Well, then it almost seemed like everybody was trying to one up each other with what they were going to bring. So, man, it was almost like a big feast before the show.
It was. We had. I mean, the food was awesome. We had more food than we could eat. I supplied the music for the night. We just turn on the old Sirius XM, let the speaker play. They're talking about doing that more next year. I don't think it's something that they need to overdo.
Right. Yeah. I would like to see it at, the parks that have a good space for it, which Windrock, we have the pavilion. I think that'd be something neat to start doing at maybe 3 out of the 10 events.
Yeah. I don't think you need to do it every weekend. It's like anything else. If you do too much of it, it'll lose its luster. People will stop getting interested. Right. And, but yeah, good time. I'm glad that, 6:30 we were getting worried. We're like, man, there ain't nobody here. There's nobody coming. And then it was like right after that, like a swarm of people just showed up all at once. And I was like, okay, we're good. And then before the night was over, the pavilion was full. Had a good time. Racing Saturday morning. What did you think of? And this is so minute in the grand scheme of things. How do you feel about doing the peel draw at the driver's meeting versus knowing where you're going to run, beforehand?
Well, I kind of liked it, but I was nervous about it because like I always draw terrible numbers. So Daniel Heckley was standing right there at the pill draw, and I asked him if he would just draw for me, and he pulled out a three, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry." Because three is just about as bad as getting one. You be one of the first guys up. So, but as soon as I saw that three, I knew it was a good omen. All I could think of was Coy Chapel at finals drawing three, and then he came in third each race, and then third on the podium. And I don't know what it is about the number three, but it kind of stacked up for us the same way this weekend.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's a good weekend. But yeah, there's a lot of people talking about the peel draw and wanting to do that versus having the show on Sunday night and drawing ahead of time. I don't know how that's going to play out for next year, but it just little things like that, just a little change of pace.
Yeah,
The event as a whole was a little more laid back.
right. But with the pill draw, I feel like it's more on you when you draw your bad number.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody to blame. So, or you could have somebody else draw for you. But I mean, I like that. I think it was good.
There's talk that we may move to that next year. If we do, we do. If we don't, it doesn't really matter. Just a little different aspect. So the UTV classes run 2 runs. There, like I said, there was a lot more carnage than I kind of expected. Had a couple guys turn over, had a lot of them break drive shafts, front ends. Luckily enough, we didn't have an issue at all. Finished both courses. And listen, I meant to show you this, or I meant to actually have this down there. So we finished both courses, got on the podium. I had this feeling back a while. I was like, man, we're due a podium. And when we get one, I want to do something cool.
Right.
Like not, I don't know. I just want to do something. So have you ever seen those really big hats? I think Grim Razor's got one.
Yeah.
So I ordered one of those, and it was supposed to be here Friday. And
Oh man.
that's going to be the Victory Lane hat, the podium hat.
Oh yeah.
And it was supposed to be here Friday. It got hung up in shipping, but it came Monday. So for the next podium, you get one of these.
Oh yeah.
That's what we're going for.
That's great.
Yeah. So we've also got. I can't get my headphones on. We've also got a new piece of jewelry coming. Those are going to be the podium celebration pieces. They're going to live in the vendor trailer, and if you guys get on the boxes, you ain't got to wear it the whole time. But we got to get some pictures, man. This has got to be the celebration attire. It's very, very large. I can't wear that damn thing.
That's awesome.
I can't wear that. But yeah, so we've got a big ass giant Rock Life hat now. So yeah, I meant to have that for you. I just felt like you were going to need it this weekend.
Yeah, we could have used it.
We could have used it. Bouncer class had a lot of the same guys, a lot of the normal crowd. Did have the return of, is it Standback?
Yes.
First time that's been on the hills in quite some time.
Right.
Kid took it and got a top 5 with it. So, not sure of their plans next year if they're going to join the National Rock Racing Association for the season. But
Right.
if they do, that's another competitive buggy to be on the lookout week in and week out. Connor Flynn done really good. Second place. DC Thompson got a podium in his rock bouncer. Nick Rock, unbelievable, 3 unbelievable runs for him.
Yeah.
It's just like everybody, man. That's the downside to points racing. Is you don't get that kind of driving all the time.
Right.
You do get people holding a little bit of restraint because they know they have to finish, but they have to finish fast.
Right.
That event, it didn't matter. Just go. And those guys drove the wheels off of it. So I do want to talk about the third run. And me and you talked about this a little bit the other day. So this is the first event that we have done that took the top 5 in the bouncer class, and they ran a third hill.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't, and it was your finishing order from that hill was your finishing order for the event. My question is, we talked a couple weeks ago about they're wanting to revamp finals somehow or another to keep people from sandbagging throughout the day.
Right.
Is that not the way to make that happen?
I feel 100% like it is, because you saw every driver at this event. I don't know if it was just the fact that it was the last big event of the year or what, but you saw every driver giving it 100%, even on hill 1. So, the goal was to try to be top 5 for the third hill. If not, you don't even get to participate in that. So look at the difference in the points that you would be from top 5 versus, for 2 hills, it would almost be like getting a DNF on hill 3 if you didn't make it to the top 5.
Yeah. So and I don't know how you work that into finals. We at finals we typically it's worth 200 points. You run 4 runs. Do you reduce that back to 3 runs and have a fourth for your top finishers? You could do 2 runs Friday, 1 run Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. Have, take a long lunch.
Right.
Take a 45-minute or an hour lunch on Saturday. Let the guys reset. Let everybody reset. Take your top 5, and however they finish. And you could do that with a couple of the classes. You wouldn't necessarily have to do it with all of them, but you could do that with a couple.
Right.
Let them reset and let those top 5 race it out for the event.
Right.
I think if you're wanting a way to make finals mean more, I think that's your best option. I think reduce it to 3 hills and then have a fourth hill like that.
Right.
I know that really hurts. That hurts the guy who finished the 6th, but I mean, if you know the rules of the game when you start playing, it's fair for everybody.
Right.
So I don't know. That's something for everybody to think about. Or if they want to try and implement that. Okay, what is our, outside of finals, what do you think is our biggest event of the year? If we had take finals out of it, if we had a Super Bowl, a big marquee race, where would it be?
Okay, so what I've seen in the past is it's either been Windrock or Wildcat. We have big car counts at both events, and we also have big crowds at both events, like spectators.
So could you do the 2 runs in 1 at one of those events to start the year?
I feel like that would be beneficial, even if you weren't going to do it at finals. Maybe choose one event to do that with, because if you put, just say the season that we had this past year, with it being such a tight points race with the big bouncers, think of how beneficial that would have been to some of the guys that weren't on the podium each time to have gotten in there. Just say take our winners from this past weekend. That those extra points would have helped somebody like DC.
Yeah.
Get on up in points more when they don't have that great of runs, or have some kind of mechanical failures from time to time.
Yeah, and I just think, man, I think that's a way to do finals, and I don't see a reason why we can't sprinkle it into a couple, one or two other maybe marquee events throughout the year. I'm
Right.
thinking places like you could do a Wildcat or a Windrock, but like I would almost like to see that implemented at a place like um, a place like West Virginia
Yeah,
or a place like Hawk Pride, somewhere
for
that
sure.
has a really gnarly hill.
Right.
Let your big gnarly hill, let that be run 5.
Yeah.
Um, my opinion, I don't know. Just thinking out loud. Uh, just something different. Just something to add a little spice. And speaking of that, adding a little spice, we got possibly 2 new classes joining the series next year. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
we've got a teen class coming. I don't know what they're going to call it. I don't know what the rules are. But from my understanding, they're making a 13 to 18-year-old class.
Yeah.
So
And this is going to be like a UTV
yeah, UTV class.
class.
Yeah, UTV
Yeah.
class. Um, I they're I have mixed feelings about this. I think that's a good class to add in to run with your stock class.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about that because that would to me be one of those things like, uh, if people mention it about the time constraints that we have, uh, I feel like that would be the time to do it and just hey, get in line, run with the stock class, and those guys whether run right before stock class or right after a stock class.
See, I'm kind of in the okay. I come from the automotive racing world, and we got this teen class and this other class. We'll talk about in just a second. We got those 2 classes coming, but my thoughts are run them like sports car racing. Sports
Right.
car racing, you have 3 or 4 different classes running on the same track at the same time. Obviously, we're not all land rushing, running all at the same time. But my thoughts were because your teen class and this other new class may only have a couple, 3 or 4 entries,
Right.
to start with. So let the teens draw with the stock class. Let them run in order with the stock class. Now, this is tentative if they're running the stock class style course. I'm sure they will make some variation of the course for them, but let them draw with the stock class. Let them see some people run. I don't think we need to necessarily make a designated time for them to run.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying. And that may be beneficial for them to let all of us go first if they wanted to do that, or like put them towards the back.
Well, that's
Uh,
my thoughts is if I'm a kid, right? If I'm a kid, I would feel way more comfortable seeing someone run that day
oh yeah,
relatively close to when I'm running in a relatively similar machine.
for
That
sure.
that would give me more confidence to do what I'm doing if I could see somebody else do it. Now, the argument that's being made, not really being made, I'm sure this is what's going to happen, is they're wanting that class to run on Saturday so the kids don't miss school.
Right.
Okay, let's be realistic about this. All the kids that are going to be running that damn class are taking off school on Friday anyways. you got to travel. You got to get there.
Right.
All these races are 6-7 hours away from other places. Most families are not going to load up at Friday evening at 5 o'clock and take off and drive 6 or 8 hours.
Right.
Most people leave on Friday during the day. Are we going to lose? I know I have said I'd like for the stock class to be on Saturday. I'd like for the VIN class to be on Saturday.
Right.
I'd like for it all to be on Saturday so we could get some more people, but it's just not feasible to run everything on Saturday.
Right.
And if we add 2 more classes into a Saturday, it's going to get hairy, and it's going to get hairy real quick. So let those guys run on Friday because they're missing school anyways. You might lose one here and there. If you want to let them run at the end of the day on Friday, maybe that'd be fine. But I just feel like benefit-wise, they would be much better served to be run with the stock class.
For sure.
That way they can see the courses, see somebody run them, because on Saturday, who are they going to watch run? The bouncers and the UTV bounty that has zero relation to what they're doing?
That's right.
I don't like that idea. I wish they would. I wish they'd run them on Fridays. The other new class is we're in the middle of trying to come up with a budget. I use that term loosely. A budget bouncer class.
Right.
The idea for it is also is kind of the same way, in the fact we want to run it kind of like sports car racing. You will draw with the big bouncers. You will run in order with the big bouncers. You'll run the same course as the big bouncers. But it's going to be think of a pro late model and a limited late model.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to look the same. They're probably going to sound real close to the same. One's just going to have a few less trinkets on it than the other.
Right.
So we're in the middle of trying to come up with, I say we're like I'm part of some committee or something.
Well, you are. I mean, even though you may not want to admit it, you hold a lot of value in the off-road world. And, it's good to have a promoter like Clyde that is asking for everybody's input on this. And that's, it's one of those things I feel like you're not doing yourself, anybody's favor unless you are speaking, up and trying to throw your ideas out there.
Yeah, I don't know a lot. I don't know enough about the big bouncers to get into the integral part of the rules package that they're wanting to put together.
Right.
I just have a good idea of how I think the series should flow and how it should run.
Right.
And I am smart enough to know what rules that some people are asking for are stupid.
Yeah, but like I know what you're saying, and it's like I don't know why I'm stuttering so damn bad about this.
Spit it out, buddy.
It's like I can't get it to come out. But my thing is, we want it to be fair. We don't want it to be something that, like Clyde did with the VIN class. Like, this is what I would love to see, is it be something like the VIN class, because you can't pull, or nobody's done it yet, and we don't really want them to do that, but you can't pull a big bouncer out and run it in the VIN class. And it's one of those things that I'd love to see, happen, is it be like like you said, like a budget bouncer, but change the rules up to where you don't have a lot of the guys that are on the podium every weekend throwing their hat in the ring on this new class.
In my vision for this new class, I don't want anyone to build anything.
Right.
So we've got to find a rules package that will allow people that have to come race, because I mean, people are they're talking crazy rules on some of this stuff, and we really don't need people building machines to come run this class just yet.
Right.
Um,
What I would love to see is, and then we did see some of this past weekend, was uh I'm gonna just say some of the older bouncers
mm,
that we saw this past weekend. Um, those guys are good and they're fast. They're still competitive, but some of these newer bouncers have rear steer and triple bypass shock, stuff like that. And a lot of that stuff's been mentioned about trying to rule that stuff out for this new class.
and see, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with no rear steer. I'm fine with single shocks. Um, Even the single shocks can get a little tricky. What single shocks are you going to allow?
Right.
You got Nick out here winning with ORIs. That is a single shock.
Right.
Is that legal? Is that not legal? I think you got to look at what's on the trails, and that's anything, from a 20-year-old Jimmy Smith buggy to stuff people's built in their backyards to stuff that is racing with us currently.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'd love to see some of those old school bouncers that, you know, put put their mark on the sport, come back and have a place.
Be able to compete. I think,
Right.
even if you did want to buy or build a machine to run this class, um, I think a $30,000-$40,000 rig should
Yeah.
be should be where this class needs to be.
Right.
And we've got people wanting them to run stock housings, no fabbed housings, stock blocks, this and that and the other. Boys, we used to run roundy rounds, and we were making 650 horsepower on a cast iron block and head 350.
Hmm.
And it lasted us 2 seasons running roundy rounds. So I just you can go down a rabbit hole with these engines, and I think honestly, the more you restrict them, the more money you're going to cost them,
Right.
because people are going to look and beg and hunt and scratch for horsepower to try
Right.
and keep up. Where if you just let it be, people will just use what they got.
Yeah.
If you start putting restrictions on it, I think that's where it starts getting expensive. And I'm not a big high dollar small block to throw in one of these things. I mean, is expensive, but you can go to the store and buy one.
Right.
If you start making them run stock blocks and stuff, if it does get competitive, it can get out of hand real quick. So I don't know what the answer is as far as like the technical rules of this class. I don't know how much you want to limit them, because if you limit them too much, you're going to have people fussing, you're going to have people fighting, you're going to have people cheating.
Right.
So whatever rules we come up with, and this is why I use the term budget bouncer loosely, because whatever rules you come up with, I mean, you need to be able to walk up to the buggy, look at it for 2 seconds, and go, yes, this will work.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
no, this isn't going to work. We don't need to be fighting about the rules and what's allowed and what's not allowed. So I guess, we're going from $100,000 rigs, and I guess the budget bouncer could technically be like a $75,000 rig, but anything to help bring the cost down. I just don't want people building rigs to come out here and run a payback class.
Right.
And I think that's going to be a limiting factor for them. I mean, if they want to spend 75 grand to come out and win 1,500, maybe.
Right.
More power to you.
Yeah. I think it would just be cool to have you know, it's hard to get away from like the old school rock bouncing and like see how far that it's came in the past few years. It would be cool to see a class that was still, uh, shocks on the axles, no trailing arms, single shocks, you know, small block, no turbos, and just naturally aspirated, just kind of like a vintage bouncer class, I guess.
I think that would be cool, and that's what they're wanting. We're trying to find a way to not rule it to death, uh, and trying to find a way to fit it to where all your busted knuckle, like your store bought rigs that you can go to Coleman, Alabama and buy, they've all got two or three, four shocks on every daggone corner. They got trailing arms, big block, this, that. If they wanted to go to say they wanted to go to a single shock setup, if they don't have rear steer and they go single shocks, those guys need to be able to come run.
Right.
They need to be able. I mean, they're $100,000 rig. Don't get me wrong, but they're not race cars. They're trail buggies. If those guys want to come race, they need to be able to have that option to try and find that way. So I don't want to rule it to death too much, and exclude the people we're trying to include.
Yeah, for sure.
But just trying to find the mix of all the rules. Man, that's I'm glad I'm not the one that's doing that.
Right. It's got to make a final decision on it.
Yeah, I don't want no part of that. But anyways.
Well, and two, like I had to mention too, because like when we were all in this big group chat, I never saw anything that would rule out a UTV.
Yeah.
And I was like, depending on the gray area, and I think that's what Clyde likes. He wants to see how innovative all these drivers, fabricators can be. So that's why he likes a gray area. But you don't want to see a situation where he says, okay, well, it's a 38 or larger tire, and then you see somebody throw a set of 39 UTV tires on a rig and then say, okay, well, I'm here to run this new bouncer class.
Yep. Yeah. So it's they've got some thinking to do about that. Because I've had people already asking them, they've been wanting to know if they can enter both classes, if they have a bouncer, and yada 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 yada. And it's like there's a lot of interest in this. There is a ton of interest in this already in 3-4 days.
Right.
So I think if they pick the right rules package to start with, and they're going to have to pick it quick because this needs to get out. That way people can have the winter to get ready. If they need to make some adjustments or figure out if they have rear steer and they want to lock it out, they need to be able to have time to figure out how to do that for the race event. Things like that. We need to make a decision on this pretty quick. That way people can get ready for next season. But I'm kind of excited. The sport is growing. We're trying to include more and more racers. Our Fridays are getting longer. Our Saturdays are getting longer. And there's not anything wrong with that in my eyes.
Right.
The more the merrier, man. Bring them all. Speaking of which, we've got a new, we were talking about Stand Back coming back with a new driver.
Yeah.
Ford Play has changed hands.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I found that out today. That was pretty cool.
Our UTV Bounty driver, Josh Krapinski, has the old Ford Play buggy. He's going to be racing that next season. I'm kind of interested to see how that turns out.
Well, we know he's not afraid to hit nothing. So
that's what I'm afraid of.
So I'm really interested to see him get some seat time and see how he's going to stack up next year. I think I think we'll probably see big things out of him.
If that buggy,
And
for whatever reason, has just never seemed um, to live up to its full potential, and I'm not knocking Jay. This is not Jay. It's not a knock on the driver. It just seems like it's
no,
always a motor issue or a shock issue, or so hopefully he can get that thing lined out
yeah,
and
yeah,
make
because
it run.
yeah, because Jay has had a ton of trouble out of it. I mean, it's like we've seen Jay be no stranger to the podium to driving showstopper and putting that thing on the boxes and being a hell of a wheelman to uh, jump in this new car, and it's almost like he's just uncomfortable in it.
Yeah, I don't think he ever
So
got the confidence in it.
right,
Um, so what does Jay do next year?
I probably think he's gonna get showstopper and run that new bouncer class in it.
That would be, I mean, if he's not building a new machine, which I don't know this is all purely speculation.
Yeah,
If he's not building a new machine, you could take Showstopper, do a few mods on it, go run the underclass. Um, and he could do that while he's building a new one. If he's building a new one, I don't know as he is.
right.
Um, but
Yeah,
I don't want to see him leave.
right. You're right. Me either. And like I hope that he's not done. I've heard a couple of different people say that grandkids are getting older and he won't spend time with the kids and grandkids. And uh, I've heard people saying that he's got some more tricks up his sleeve. So uh, he one of my favorite drivers. I'd hate to see him sell out.
Always been super nice to me,
Oh
especially
yeah,
got to know him a little bit in the last couple of years since he's been racing the UTV stock class. We've had some business transactions over at the Rock Life Off Road trailer. So yeah, I hate to see him go. Um, he's what I would consider a staple in the sport.
oh for sure.
So hope he sticks around, and even if he doesn't race, hope he comes out and hangs out with us. Anything else stand out for you for this past weekend or going into next season? Is there anything that you got on your mind?
Man, all I can say is that I feel like you and I talked earlier in the year about having a kind of like an all-star race at the end of the year, and some of that did come true, and this battle of bouncers came to fruition. And I mean, uh, it was a heck of a time. Had a blast, and I love to see this be a thing every year. Towards the end of the season, had a good time. We gotta get some uh, of the new car blues situated and get me some more seat time. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to next season. We haven't really sat down and talked about what our goals are for next season, but man, I miss Bounty. I love running UTV Bounty. I love racing on Saturdays and seeing all the fans, but God, that car is too pretty to scratch up. So I just
Bounty's rough.
I don't know what we're gonna do yet, but that car will definitely be on the course next year.
Bounty's tough. I do want to mention the crowd at Windrock. I didn't expect, after our turnout at Wildcat was not spectacular, I wasn't really sure how to gauge the crowd at Windrock, it wasn't the spring crowd,
Oh yeah,
but overall, there was way more people at Windrock than there was at Wildcat. That
right,
place always pulls a decent crowd, and guys, they have worked on the event area, made it substantially more roomed for racing in the bottom, cleared out a bunch of trees, and they've still got more to do. They want to try and get that top more visible. I know there were some complaints that people and the spectators couldn't see the very top hill, and I couldn't either, so I get it. I think they're going to clear a little bit more of that out before we get back there next year. So I just want to thank the people, the patrons there that showed up and came out to support the event. There was some, some people were fussing about the price of the event, and I get that. It was a little high for our series, but listen, this is a special one-off race. $17,000 in payouts, guaranteed. That's guaranteed money. It takes money to pay money. This is not part of our 10 race schedule. That when Clyde signs a sponsor, they sign on for 10 races. They don't sign on for 11.
Right.
So this is a extra race, unbudgeted, had to be funded somehow or another. So sometimes there's sacrifices that will be made. And, dude, I hope we do it again next year.
Oh yeah.
Man, I've said it twice, 2 or 3 times this year. I've just kind of fallen in love all over again with the sport, with rock bouncing. I'm just amazed at what these machines can do. The big bouncers, the UTVs, they've come so far, and everybody, 95% of the people in the sport are super nice, super friendly. People will do anything to help you. Got to know a ton of people this year that I didn't know, from years before. Made a lot of friends this year, and hopefully all that rolls into next year. I know we're done racing for the season, but we're not done with this show. We still got some more stuff coming up. I guess we didn't really do this. Do we want to do? Let's go over the finishing results for the event. There's only 2 classes. We're not going to call this a rundown. But for the Battle of the Bouncers, our top 3 UTVs: Cooper Bentley, Dylan Dowler, and I wish you'd have had your hat, dude. You should have had your hat.
Hey, there'll be plenty of races next season that we'll get to wear that hat.
I'm going to have it embroidered on the side that says "Podiums Only." That way, nobody else can wear it. And then our bouncers was Nick Rock, Connor Flynn, and DC Thompson. Don't know who. I can't remember who all finished out the top 5 in both classes, because that was a 5-position payback. But that was your podium in both classes. Hopefully, we'll have a schedule release soon for next year. Man, I'm excited to get back racing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it. You got anything?
I guess all you guys interested in signing up for the season driver, pretty sure Clyde will be putting that out for purchase within the next couple of weeks.
And hopefully we will have 2 new classes to announce with that officially.
Right.
So stay on the lookout for that. Guys, we've got probably 2-3 more episodes this year. So stick it out with us. Almost done. What are we on? 68? 2 more will be 70. We got at least 2 more this year. So stick it out. We got 1 more Business to Rock Bouncing coming this year. That is on the schedule. And then we will do, I don't know. We'll do something else. We'll come on here and tell stories or something. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
So appreciate everybody for sticking it out with us all year. Our racing season has concluded. We have not. So come back. I don't know if we'll be back next week. We may take a week off and then stay on the look on the socials. We'll let you guys know.
Right on.
Right on.
See you.